Peace and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we got a lot to talk about. First and foremost, let's talk about the latest coming out of South Carolina as voters have gone to the polls, giving an overwhelming victory to President Biden. We'll break down some of the numbers and why this particular primary election may be a sign for something to come. We'll talk about that. Also, we're going to be checking in with Mayor Michelle Davis Younger, the first Black woman mayor for the city of Manassas, Virginia, talking about the work that she's doing down there. And then later on, we check in with our chief medical expert, our assistant, Dr. Bridget M.D., to talk to us about reclaiming your wellness as she looks at all types of issues around one particular tool that's used in salons that may change and have a negative effect on your DNA and so much more. So stay with us. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. And happy Monday, another start to a great week that we are embarked upon as we are celebrating, of course, Black History Month. This is the 5th day of the month. And so I hope your Black History celebrations have been both fruitful and informed and very informed of knowledge and history. So we are continuing to do our part here at Black Star Network, of course. Now, if you're tuning in, you should be streaming on our website from our streaming service of blackstarnetwork.com. Go to our website today. Check us out. Download the app for free. Follow us on social media and drop something in the bucket for us as we are paving the way in this digital space, embarking upon this digital movement, putting out some great Black content. So you could do all of that directly from our website. Just check us out at blackstarnetwork.com today. Also, we're streaming live on Amazon platforms, on Amazon News or your Fire TV. Check us out there. You can also find us on Amazon Prime Video. And you can check us out, find us on the Prime Video app under Live TV, The News, or find us on Amazon.com under Prime Video, then Live TV, The News. We're also on the Freevee network on now under News. You can see us there. And you can also check us out on Plex TV, streaming live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just search for Black Star Network or find us under Live TV, The News, and Opinion. And of course, we are streaming on social media platforms, so you can definitely check us out on Roland Martin's Facebook page and Roland Martin's YouTube channel. And also, when you're on there, just jump in, be a part of the conversation, be a part of the online culture crew that is gathering on all of these platforms. Big shout out to the crew on the X platform, on the Facebook platform, that's right, and on our YouTube channel. As folks are tuning in, and we got a lot of folks that are tuning in. I see my Pastor Damon Blissett, my sister Tiana checking in. Smooth Approach, good afternoon, crew. Good afternoon, Smooth Approach. Good to connect with you once again, bro. DJ D Smooth, I see you in the building. Thank you so much. Brian Christian, good to connect with you once again, my guy. Monkey Confessions, I see you. The ABX Girl, I see you. Cindy D, I see you. Boza Blix, I see you. Anastasia Paget, I see you. Who's this? Nigel Kennan? Najee, thank you so much for checking in. Lori Parks, as always, thank you so much. And folks, again, we wanted to hear from you. Jump into the chat and be a part of the conversation as we have these discussions. Now, let's first talk a little bit about President Biden, as he has just won overwhelmingly, garnering 95% of the votes in South Carolina. We knew that this was going to happen, right? I mean, South Carolina was a big state about 4 years ago to get the president into office. And so it's no surprise that it's the same state that's going to deliver him to keep him in office 4 years later. But let me just, let's talk a little bit about not just the fact that he won by an overwhelming majority against his Democratic rivals, Mr. Dean Phillips and Ms. Marianne Williamson, but it still opens the door for the conversation around voter turnout. And this is where we are at this point. Voter turnout. It's not necessarily if he's going to be the nominee. Folks, we know that he's going to be the nominee. The thing is now, how many voters were going to turn out for President Biden? How many voters are going to do their to deliver the Democrats, whether it's to the White House, to the Senate, to the to the Republic, not the House of Representatives, excuse me, and how many folks are going to really put the Democrats in those essential places and spaces to kind of get things moving further along here in the country. So that's the big thing. It's not necessarily about, oh, President Biden's not going to be the nominee. He is the nominee. He will be the nominee. But will it be an overwhelming, will it be a major, where we see a lot of folks coming out? Let me do this. Let's take a quick pause. When we come forward, I want to share with you very quickly just a little bit of the data, some of the numbers coming in from South Carolina based upon this primary election this past Saturday. And I want to get your take on this, crew. You know, are you concerned about voter turnout? Because even though the president won overwhelmingly, low voter turnout is a big part of the conversation, even coming out of South Carolina. And I want to get your take on that. So make sure y'all stick around, join us in the conversation, post your comments in the chat. And of course, stay tuned. It's The Culture right here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. All right, let's talk about South Carolina, folks. A lot of people we're expecting some things to happen in South Carolina, as this has been the change based upon the Democratic primary schedule. This was changed last year, y'all remember, when the Democrats said, the Democratic Party said, look, let's put South Carolina front first, get some momentum behind our guy, the president, and let's start it off on a strong note. Well, he did. The president certainly came out, and voters came out and gave the president a 95% victory over his opponents, Dean Phillips and Marianne Williamson. So the president kind of knew, and I think a lot of us knew that that was going to be the case. How much of a margin was that going to be? We didn't get into the details. There was some people speculating, but at the end of the day, we knew that a victory for President Biden would happen, especially after what we saw 4 years ago. Now, that's not the question. The question becomes around voter turnout. How many voters actually came out to the polls? Well, let me share with you the latest that, based upon the numbers coming out of the state of South Carolina. Take a look at this, folks, as we talk about voter turnout. Around 131,000, I want to say this again, y'all. Around 131,000 South Carolinians voted in this particular primary, this 2024 Democratic primary, making up just around 4% of registered voters statewide. The showing marks the lowest turnout in the last few presidential primaries for Democrats, though those contests were notably more competitive. Now, turnout for this year's Democratic primary fell well below previous contests. In 2020, 540,000 people, around 16% of voters, participated in the Democratic primary, while in 2016, 373,063 voters, more than 12%, did the same. Now, in 2012, former President Barack Obama ran unopposed in the primary, but in 2008, 532,151 voters turned out, accounting for around 23% of registered voters, according to the South Carolina Election Commission. So we're looking at a huge drop, folks, in South Carolina, 131,000 people. And I want to get your take on this, crew, and let me know, what do you think this is a sign of? Is this something that the president, his administration, the Democratic Party should be really, really concerned about? Or should we say, okay, this is one contest, let's take a look at, see how the rest of the contests go, and that we should not be concerned right now? I want to get your take on this as we have this conversation. Join us in the chat. We are on YouTube, so you can join us on Roland Martin's YouTube channel page, and I would love to hear what you have to say around this, about this issue. Cindy D, you said, and welcome, Cindy. It's good to connect with you once again, sis. You said, I know I got the black vote, and I want to continue to primary. So you're saying, Cindy, that the president is taking this kind of attitude, this type of sentiment, that, look, I got the black vote. We sewn it up. We built these relationships. We got Representative James Clyburn from South Carolina. We got folks, we should be good. But again, voter turnout is essential, especially in a contest. If this contest comes down to, and the speculation is it's going to still come down to President Biden, former President Donald Trump. And if those two are at another head-to-head matchup, that every single vote will count, more so for President Biden than for Trump, because every vote that doesn't vote for Biden, some were speculating that it is essentially a vote for Trump, which I don't know. You still have particular candidates like, third-party candidates and not even third-party candidates. You still have a candidate like a Robert F. Kennedy. You still have candidates like Dr. Cornel West and all of those other folks. So there is a real concern that President Biden needs to get every single vote, right? And from this process, every single vote. TC Cook, welcome to the chat. Good to connect with you. You say less people are choosing to vote in South Carolina. Now, that it looks like that's the case, TC Cook. My question is, why? Is this election not exciting for people? Is this election becoming, what is going on with voters. And I think that is going to be the big question facing Black voters and Black voter organizers. Like we know our people with Black Vote Matters, they are doing the work of organizing folks on the grassroots, direct action type of approach. So they're on the ground to do it. But the question becomes, why aren't people motivated, especially when the stakes are so high in this particular election? I want to raise that question again, folks. Why aren't people motivated, especially when the stakes are so high? You don't like my music? Good to connect with you once again, bro. You said, I think all the high-profile Democrats agreed not to oppose Biden. It's very true. I can see that. Seven to Dean Phillips. Tiana, you checked in. Good to connect with you. You said, yes, people needs to be wary. Democrats need to be wary. Less voters. This is how political scientists look at the formula. If you have less voters at the poll, especially between two major candidates, it sets up a potential close call, too close to call type of margin between that Democrat and that Republican candidate. So yeah, people need to be worried. Najee, Kenna, you said 4%. Yeah, man, 4%. 4%. And as I just shared with you, that number has gone down over the years. 4% of eligible voters in the state of South Carolina came out to vote in the primary. 4%. That is something to be worried about. Monkey Confessors checking in. Good to connect with you, bro. You said they want specific policy, not fear voting tactics. I think that's a good point. I think that is quite a good point. They want policies. Now, President Biden has not been short on trying to do his part to trying to reverse some things, right? We know that. We talked about that. Everything from the Affordable Care Act, everything from the infrastructure bill, everything from dealing with student loans, everything from investment into HBCUs and all of these things, right? So there are policies, and folks, I would highly, highly recommend that if you really want to, if you are a big policy wonky, that's the term most people kind of use. If you are all into policy and you just say, well, what is the president doing? Because I hear a lot of people always saying this. What is the president doing for Black people? Just go to whitehouse.gov. That's all I'm gonna tell y'all, folks. This is directly from the White House, where you can go to see where the president stands on various issues in terms of his priorities and record. Lisa, let's do one quick thing. If we could pull up whitehouse.gov for folks that may not be familiar with the site, I want to give them the site because I don't want y'all to say Farajii don't inform y'all in that on the culture. We don't give you resources to go to. Look, we're not telling you to go to some third-party resource. We're telling you go directly to the source. Go to whitehouse.gov, folks. Read on your own what the policies are. There's President Biden right there. If you look on this, the president, even on the side, if you can look on that right side, you see a proclamation of National Black History Month 2024. I mean, there's so much information on the White House website that you can honestly just go there yourself and read. So please, as much as we have these conversations, a lot of these conversations that we have on this show and on other shows, you can go to whitehouse.gov and you can see it for yourself. Don't jump into the chat and be like, well, what has the president done? Go and read it yourself, y'all. That would be my thing. In 2024, let's not get lazy. Let's not get lazy. Go and read it yourself and see directly what this president has done. And again, this is not a third-party source. This is directly from the White House. Policies, particular initiatives, particular executive orders, with the statements that the president has made about the number of things. Whitehouse.gov has all of that information. My man, big brother Willie Frazier, you said last election cycle we had real choices. Harris, Mayor Pete, Warren. Who's really running against Biden? Yeah. And I remember having this conversation. Y'all remember this, and I was asking this like late last year. Like, well, who was running against Biden? And the consensus, I talked to my sister Suzette speaks about it. The consensus was you're not going to have anybody running against Biden because the Biden is going to be that nominee. So we may not see it. We may not see it. But in this particular case, he's going to be the nominee, most likely, because he's the one who's in the seat already. This is how this thing goes. He's already in a seat. You don't want to put up too many people because then people won't show up for the incumbent. So you want to keep those choices very, very, very limited. So, Big Brother Willie, that's what's happening, what we're seeing right now. Nicole Smith, you said everyone will come out for Biden for the general election. Well, we know one thing about politics, Nicole, you never know. It's always a lot. There's a huge uncertainty factor that's attached to politics, especially when it gets to the polls. So we don't know for sure who is going to come out. I would say that this is a great opportunity, and I think we talked about this last week, for Black voters to continue to push, for us to advocate, okay, Mr. President, you're on the path to being renominated. We need to talk about what we plan, what are your plans for the next 4 years for Black America? This is, I think, a great, great time for us to have those conversations. Frankie, you said Farajii, half-truths hurt us. Absolutely. Half-truths hurt us. Alternative facts hurt us. Not understanding the process hurts us, Frankie. So I agree wholeheartedly. And that's why I'm telling people, when y'all are talking about this information, even in the chat and when y'all just in general, right? Just tell people, look, no more conjecture. Let's just start from the facts. And that's what I say, whitehouse.gov, go to the website, take a look at all of those things. And then guess what? You will have some of those questions answered. So anybody that's coming in the chat, crew, and then so well, what is Biden doing for me? There's so much, there's too much to cover to have that type of conversation. And we want to go tit for tat. Go to the website, see for yourself. If you don't agree, it's one thing, but you have to read these things for yourself. But it is important that we at least understand this. The only thing that you can't read on the website is the motivations of people, the motivations of voters in these contests. And we're going to have to see. Is it because the folks don't connect with the president, the folks that have issues with this president about his age, or is it policy, or is it just the fact that we're back at a place where we're looking at the same two candidates again? There are a lot of different reasons, and the Democratic Party has a lot of work to try to get to the reasons and try to assure voters that this go around is going to, not be more of the same, but this go around is going to be a major shift in how this country moves forward. So there's a lot that us for ground to cover and still a lot to talk about on this issue. So we will see, but we got to get South Carolina. That's the first primary. You got other primaries coming behind. I say this very quickly, that if we start to see a pattern of low voter turnout, then we got to have some different conversation. This first South Carolina turnout, it's concerning, but I'm waiting to see if there's a next primary we find to see that there's a low voter turnout, and then by a third primary there's low voter turnout. Yeah, we got some real serious things to talk about. All right, folks, I got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, we're going to check in with Madam Mayor Michelle Davis-Younger, who is the first Black woman mayor of the city of Manassas, Virginia. We're going to talk to her about the work she's doing, and of course, get your comments and your questions. So stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and wanting to participate in the conversation. As we continue the discussion about politics, I want to welcome our first special guest for today. She is the first Black woman to serve as mayor of the city of Manassas, Virginia, and I'm very, very excited to have her on. So now we want to check in with Mayor Michelle Davis Younger, joining us here on the Black Star Network. Madam Mayor, how are you this afternoon? How are you?
I am well. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Great.
ma'am, we can.
Okay.
First,
let me stop you right there because you didn't give it all to me. First person of color, first woman, and first Democrat. 3. Okay. Let's have it all. I love it.
In the streets, we call that being G-check.
Okay. Thank you
Madam
so
Mayor,
much.
you came up first person of color, first Democrat, first Black woman. Come on, I got. Yes, ma'am, Madam Mayor. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
I take
bow
that.
down. I will bow down. I will. Welcome, Madam Mayor, to the culture, to the Black Star Network.
Thank you.
For folks who may not be familiar or understand the geography of Manassas, Virginia, where is the city of Manassas?
The city of Manassas is about 34 miles outside of Washington, D.C. So we're just, I say, a couple of stones throw from the big city, nestled right in the middle of Prince William County. Not too far from the big lights, but we hold our own. That's where we are. A great city. We are about 10 square miles wide with about 43,000 people shoved in those 10 square miles, and I love every single mile of it.
I hear you, and folks may not know that in DC, like you have some people that live in DC, but a lot of people who work in DC actually live in areas like Manassas.
Yes, exactly.
They live in. So Manassas is the home of some of your top political officials, top voices in media. Yeah. And many other people. So this is not like just some small city.
Right. It used to be. It used to be the city, and people talked about it. But we have made some major strides in Manassas. We have come such a long way. I like to take credit for the last 4 years being the most exciting since I got in the seat of mayor. And mind you, the city is 150 years old, and it never having a woman, never having a Democrat, person of color. It has been an amazing opportunity, but certainly a different take on what's been available for residents. A lot of people, as you said, do choose to live in the city. We have easy access via the Virginia Railway Express VRE train that people can drive to our train station 5 minutes from their home, hop on a train and be at work in 30 minutes. You read your paper the whole entire way or be on your phone or sleep. It is a great place to live, work, play, and raise a family. So absolutely amazing.
I truly appreciate that. We're going to take a quick pause. When we come forward, Madam Ed, I want to talk to you about some of the things that are happening in Manassas, the work that you're doing, and some of the conversations that we're having on a national level about Black voters and Black women in leadership roles. So stay with us. That conversation will continue on the other side, right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate Black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, welcome back to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad, joined by a very special guest as we're politicking with Madam Mayor Michelle Davis Younger, who is the first Black woman mayor of the city of Manassas, Virginia. She's also the first Democratic mayor of the city of Manassas and the first person of color. I had to get that right.
That's right. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right, Madam Mayor, let's talk a little bit about the work that you're doing in the city of Manassas, because this is a very, very different time in this country around politics. First and foremost, the fact that you are a woman, you're a Black woman, you're in this seat. How did that happen for you?
Well, the wonderful thing about it is that I am from the city. I grew up, I'm from Manassas. I grew up in Manassas, as well as my parents, who are still alive, grew up here and never left. Can you imagine? They're living in the place where they were born. My father just turned 90 and my mother is 85.
Wow.
So yeah, that says a lot. But what I think helped is that I was known in the community for doing a lot of work through my church. I have my own business where I helped a lot. I'm an HR consultant by trade, and I help people write resumes and find work and all that. So I was able to make a lot of connections that way through helping people gain employment, because when people are not working, it's a whole different story, right? And so people remember that. And when I ran, they're like, well, that makes sense. That's somebody that cares about the people. That's someone that we believe will help and give back to the community. So it found me because people were watching me and the work that I've done. And that's what I try to instill in my mentoring program that I started. People are watching you and you don't realize it. And opportunities will come or they will pass you by the company you keep and the things you do in the community. So it was a lot of, your family's known here, you grew up here, it's a homegrown story. It's a victory for the small people, the little people, the voiceless people, the people, your next door neighbor. I remember her running around, with us in high school. So it was a hometown story when you can say you knew the person, went to school with the person. A lot of people came out to vote that had not voted and so long. They voted when Obama, and then hadn't voted again. And then, of course, when I ran, they came out again. And so if that was how I got them out, that's how I got them out. But certainly it was that. It was a lot of just being known in the community for the work that I had done and the kind of person that I was. And I was always about caring for the community. People called me the unofficial mayor of Manassas way before that. It was years ago. It was a running joke. It was a running joke because when people were moving to the city from, somewhere else, they say, oh, call Michelle because she'll know the good neighborhoods to go to, and she'll know she'll tell you what stores and that kind of thing. And look what happens, 20 years later. So it is quite amazing when you can be the mayor of a city where you grew up, in a place where you grew up. It is quite great.
Absolutely. And you have a program, speaking of the work that you're doing and giving back to the community. You have a program called My Mayor Looks Like Me program.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Which is a girls empowerment program that you started. Take a few moments, Madam Mayor, talk to us about why you decided to, create this program.
Right. When I came into the political world, I had no knowledge. I had to learn, but that's what we do best. As Black women, I have to give us credit because we will jump in not knowing a darn thing, and we will make it look like we've been there forever, right? That's just the gift that we have. And so I had to learn and do the job at the same time. I said, this is unacceptable. I did not have anybody that I could point to and say, she looks like me and I can be that. I need to be that for these young ladies. So when I got in the seat, I was piggybacking off of, Kamala's win, being the first and all that. And I said, what can I do to teach these young ladies, 10 to 16 years old? I bring them in. They come in, they interview the mayor, they ask me the hard questions. I give them a t-shirt, My Mayor Looks Like Me. I'm a kinesthetic person. I have to touch a lot to learn. They sit in my seat, in my actual seat that I sit at my dais. They hold and bang my gavel. They own the room for 5 minutes. If you can touch it, you can see it, believe it, you got it. That's what I instill in them. I'm teaching them the acronyms and all these things that I had absolutely no idea and had to learn while doing the job of a council person. I do not want my people ignorant. I need them coming to the table knowing and understanding the role, and not having to learn it at 50. But they'll remember this mayor brought me in, and I know about COIA, and I know about FOIA, and I know about budget, and I know about, all these things that I had to learn. I didn't have that role model. That is why I believe you are called to higher purpose in politics, is that you lift as you climb. That's what you're trying to do. And as women, we have to create that future. We have to bring that generation forward. And that's what I do with my program. And they absolutely love it. They have such a wonderful time. It's just an hour out of my weekend that I don't mind, spending just to teach so they can learn. And how many have never even been in City Hall and have lived in Manassas their entire lives? Zero. How many have been in a mayor's office? Zero. How many have been in a Black female mayor's office? Zero. I'm opening up amazing doors for these people, for these young ladies.
No. I understand, and I did that type of work in Baltimore as well. I'm relocated to Los Angeles, so I'm looking to do that type of work as well. Now, Madam Mayor, I do want to get your take on this, because Black women have been at the center of controversy of political issues and political scandals over these past few years. What do you make of this? I mean, we're seeing now the latest controversy with District Attorney Fani Willis in Georgia. Like I said, I come from the city of Baltimore, and unfortunately, we've had our fair share of controversy of Black women in power. And so many folks are asking the question about Black women in leadership roles and Black women being able to do the job. And I even saw a national conversation. This was an article I read some time ago, where it was saying not just Black women, that women in general, it's still not an acceptable norm in this country of having a woman in high positions of political power, whether we're talking about president or governor, or even if on a more local level, like a mayor or a state senator or something like that. What's your take of that? Do you feel like America, are we not there yet, or are we kind of taking something and blowing it out of proportion here? When it comes to Black women in power?
Well, Black women in power, it's always the fear of the unknown. And then you have the stereotypes that a lot of people, the only Black women they see are the ones on those reality television shows, throwing bottles and shoes at each other. Unfortunately, they don't tune in to see the Senate hearings and things like that, where you see the other side of that. And so it's having to live down a lot of that stereotyping and stigma that comes with that persona of the Black woman. I always, encourage people, you can be better and not bitter. And we have to, unfortunately, unlike our sisters, our other sisters, have to walk that fine line where we are not seen as bitter, but make our point, have our voices heard and make our point without the neck going and the finger popping and all of that. But you have to be articulate, and you have to make sure that your sentences are hitting and going where you need them to go. Speaking and putting yourselves in the right groups of people, that's when people notice you. And so a lot of it is being blown out of proportion as another way of, as they say, keeping your foot on your neck. Some people are using that to hold down female Black women in power, and others just simply don't know. And that's my belief, that they just need to see more of the positive mayors like myself and others who are doing mentoring programs, who are offering free GED programs, and so you can lift yourself up. Those are the examples that we have to consistently put out there and talk about all of the good things that we are doing, not only in our race, but just in general, and for females. It's just that constant message of positivity, and what are you doing with your life? Who are you surrounding yourself with? And that's just so important to me. I really take that seriously. And unfortunately, we as Black women, we have to, when we come in the room, we look around to see who else looks like me in the room. I will be so glad when we can stop saying the first, because it will be the norm. Eventually, we will get there. But we have to keep showing up. And as I said, when we first started speaking, it is the lifting as you climb. I'm not going to forget about my 15, 16-year-old who might be struggling right now. We just need to take a little bit of time and have a conversation and help people along and not judge them. And that's what I've been able to do in this city, is change the whole attitude of how we accept one another. And everybody doesn't look like us, but we can treat everyone with dignity and respect.
Now, Madam Mayor, talk to us in the final few moments we have with you, and I truly appreciate your time. I want to kind of get your take also, looking at the role of the Black voter right now. There's a lot of eyes set on our people, our community. You already shaking your head, Madam Man, so you know where I'm going with this, right? There are a lot of eyes and people are looking at us, right? We just came out of the South Carolina primary. The president got the victory there, but it was a very low turnout in South Carolina. I'm not sure when the state of Virginia is having their primary, but I know here in LA, we're having our primary here in March the 5th, right? Yep. A lot of people are saying, what is going to be the big priority for Black people? And now you got Black men and women who are like, well, Trump don't look so bad.
Yeah.
So what's your take on like where should the Black voter take this? Like, how do we galvanize Black folks, Black voters to the point where we can start to really move forward on gaining some level of political power and having our priorities at the top of the agenda and not on the side of it?
I think if you are coming with your what's being done, when you started talking today, I was listening and you said, go to whitehouse.gov. What has Biden done for Black people? It's all listed there. I am a direct recipient of your student loan has been forgiven. 1996. I had loans from 1996. They wiped away $125,000. They ain't know I was mayor. Okay. I'm just Michelle still owing Mojito, whatever they're called, the Sally Mae and all that. $125,000. You have to come with show me what's been done. Show me why my vote is so important. It's not just, about Trump. It's not about Biden. It is about changing things, and especially locally, because, that's where my heart is, being local.
Right.
I'm telling people, you have the chance to make a difference right where you live. Of course, national is important, and we do have to focus on that. But you have to show people facts and what has been done. How are you better than you were 4 years ago? And people have to be honest. They are. And, they're going to consistently throw the things out there. What's not this and what's not that. But there is more good than there has not been good. And most folks are in a better spot than they were. And so it is imperative. We cannot say it enough that you get out and vote. I mean, I'm hearing people now saying they're just not going to vote at all. They're not
right.
Going to
exactly. Yes,
and then they'll say that I'm going to come out and vote for you. I said, well, voting for me is great, but I need your vote at the top as well. Because how do you think I'm going to get my stuff done for you here in this city if it's not done at the national level? At the federal level.
Say that,
I flip it around. I flip it around on them. Like, come on now, Biden's helping me do for you. Help me do to get what you need done. So if you don't go and vote for him, you're not going to vote for me. You can come out, bullet vote, all that. That's crazy. Come out and vote. People die. We know that. But I think if we come armed with, we have accomplished A, B, C, D, that's how you get people. And the younger voters, I am aiming for so much this time because I think they're there. They're waking. They're woke and waking, and we got to grab them. We got to put them to work. We got to get them out there. They're always asking me, how can we help you? Hit those doors for me. Talk to people for me. Drop my lid. Tell them why it's so important for them to get out and vote.
Real quick, I know we have like a moment or two left, but I want to get your take on this. How should the Democratic Party really galvanize the young Black student, especially like in a state like Virginia? Y'all have HBCUs where there are a lot of young Black HBCU student leaders who are questioning like a President Biden, his record and everything. How does this party get those students, get those young voters out to the polls and get them to vote for their candidate?
How they are going to do it is having those small, intimate round tables. They have got to show up with that information that I spoke about in hand. How is your life better? How is your family benefiting? What are the areas? And ask them questions. What are the areas that are concerning? Where have we missed the mark? Don't just join the bandwagon. You ain't doing it. Show me and tell me where we've missed the mark. And we are going to hit it. If you get this person in, they are speaking of doing ABC for this community. We cannot get the things that you need done unless you put them there and they have your voice. Ask the questions, small, intimate roundtables, as many as they can. Just stay in front of folks and don't let it die. You have to be active and you have to do it often.
There it is. There it is. Madam Mayor Michelle Davis Younger, this is the mayor of the great city of Manassas, Virginia. Folks, if you want to get more insight as to what Madam Mayor and her administration is doing, just go to manassasva.gov. manassasva.gov. I'm at this point, Madam Mayor, I'm just directing people directly to websites because some of these conversations, I'm like, y'all making my head spin. Look, just go to the website and read it. Just read it. Just read it. But the mayor is a woman who is from the great city of Manassas. She is an advocate of Manassas, and you can read about the work that her and her administration is doing for the city of Manassas. Again, manassasva.gov. Madam Mayor, we thank you so much for your time today and giving us your insight, and we look forward to reconnecting with you once again later on this year.
Thank you. I'm up for re-election in November. Presidential rules. I need people out. I'm telling you, I need them out. So I'll be talking to you after I get re-elected.
I hear that. Madam Mayor, thank you so much for your time. Truly appreciate it.
All right. Yes, have a good day. Thank you.
You too. Bye-bye. All right, folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's switch gears, talk about health and wellness with Dr. Bridget, MD. Stay with us. Reclaim Your Wellness with Dr. Bridget is up next here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all. All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind $100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. Big conversation. I really enjoyed our discussion that we had with the mayor of Manassas, Virginia, Madam Mayor Michelle Davis Younger. Make sure y'all check her out on the website at manassasva.gov to learn more information about their work. And so many of you have been checking in, talking about just some of the topics I shared with the mayor, got her insight on. And I truly appreciate it. And I'm just taking a look here And just some of what y'all are saying. Corinna, one of our great contributors here, she said the opposition laughs wholeheartedly at our ignorance about the ballot box. At this point, we are doing the oppressor's work for them when we willingly don't participate or educate ourselves on it. Amen. Amen. Brian Christian, you checked in to say we have to get the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act passed to get the most of the support of the Black community, because it would be a direct hit towards the U.S. white supremacy. Right. Absolutely. 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 So many of you understand the stakes of it. And that's why we're having this conversation. And folks, again, as I said to the man, as I shared with you earlier today, I'm directing folks to, hey, read for yourself. Read for yourself, right? Y'all come into the chat, y'all come into this conversation. I want y'all to read for yourself, and we'll do our part to supply you with as much of the resources as possible, as much of the information that you need. But you cannot be, going back to Corinna's point and Big Brother Willie's point and Brian's point and others, you can't be an ignorant voter. If you understand what the stakes are, if you really want to be engaged, then educate yourself, because that's what's going to lead us to get us out of this quagmire we see ourselves in. All right, folks, let's switch gears. Let's talk about health and wellness. It's now time for us to reclaim our wellness with Dr. Bridget, MD. Dr. Bridget, MD.
Hello. So can I just comment on?
No.
You said quagmire, right? Like you the vocabulary. You're just that.
What?
I wasn't prepared for that word. I was like, wait. What did he say? I wasn't ready for that. I was like,
wait, was that a bad thing or something?
I missed that. No, I just missed that.
Okay.
School, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
Look, people agree with me. They were all like, how do you spell?
Quagmire.
Look, and he's spelling it. Okay, well, I gotta up my game today.
You know what I'm saying? You gotta educate and elevate and all at the same time. That's what you do. Hey, come on, Doc. You do this every day. Every week you come on here when you drop jewels. I'm really like when the shot changes, I'm like, what is she talking about? Dr. Bridget, MD. Folks, make sure y'all follow Dr. Bridget on all social media. As y'all know, she comes here every Monday, breaking it down, talking about some of the big health and wellness conversations and topics. And also, of course, she is doing an ongoing series around healthy relationships, where she's talking to us about better ways for us to relate to one another and our intimate and family relationships. It's a wonderful, wonderful series. She's already been bringing some great voices there onto the culture. And, I hope that you continue the series like for the rest of the year, because we really, really do need to have some different conversations about those relationships. So, Doc, thank you so much. Let's talk a little bit about, first and foremost, something that you brought to my attention, Doc, which is this tool that's used in nail salons. Talk to us about it that could potentially affect your DNA.
So, this story came out a while ago, and I kind of sat on it because number one, I wanted to learn a little bit more. I wanted to kind of have some conversations, and I also wanted to see how much did it affect Black and brown people, right? And over the last, honestly, couple months that I was looking at this, I found some information that was significant. And so what we're talking about is that women love their gel nails. They're easy, they last a long time. You don't have to walk out with wet nails and wait for them to dry, mess them up on the way home. They're very, very convenient. The issue is that when you do gel nails, so it's a type of nail polish that you're putting on either your nails or on acrylics or however you choose to do it, it has to cure. And so it has to sit under a UVA light to be able to harden, to give you the effect that you would like. The problem is that what they have found is that this UVA light is also it's not that much different from the same exposure that you can get from the sun, and that exposure can lead to skin cancer. And so and people are doing it every single day. So, I thought it was worthy of talking about because there's some details to this that I think does affect us quite a bit.
All right, so let's do this. Let's take another quick pause. When we come forward, let's get some more of those details because men also go to the nail salon too. I'm not even gonna hold you, Doc.
I've sat next to men getting their gel nails too. So we're all open to it.
We're all open to it. Folks, stay with us. The conversation around reclaiming your wellness, talking about this nail salon tool, and so much more is coming back to you on the other side. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind $100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all. All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network, joined by our chief medical expert here on The Culture, Dr. Bridget Cole-Williams, MD, actually. And Dr. Bridget is talking to us for today's segment of Reclaim Your Wellness, talking about a nail salon tool that may cause some damage to your DNA. And apparently, according to this latest set of research, mutations in human cells as well. And which tool is this that we're talking about here, Doc?
So we're talking about the UV lamp that when you do a gel nail, your hand goes into the machine, have you, and it has kind of that bluish tint light that comes out. And so that's the UVA rays that are coming out of that. And when we're talking about cell death, when we're talking about changing DNA, we're talking about causing skin cancer. That's what we're talking about. Now, for a lot of us, we're going to say, well, you know, my pigment protects me. I don't have to worry about that.
Exactly. Can I
Right?
just say something? Can I
Is that
say something
what
to
we
you?
say?
And I was literally during the break. I was like, I'm gonna ask Doc this question because I know how black folks think. We know black folks be like, we know black folks be like, man, you talking to the wrong group of people. Black people
Well,
don't
and
get
let me,
skin cancer.
I held off on this because when I first read it, I was like, that's not for us. We don't need to worry about that, right? But it kept coming up. And I guess my concern is that the intensity of the light that you're putting your hand in is not that much different from the intensity of a tanning bed or the intensity of the sun itself, okay? And depending on how often you're getting your nails done, which type of lamp is being used, what medications you were on, can make a difference if this is an issue for you. And so that's when I said, let's go ahead and talk about this. Because depending on medications that you're taking, this is known to cause squamous cell cancer, which is actually most common in Black people. People act like we don't get it. We do get skin cancer, also causing melanoma as well. And one of the medications that can make your skin more photosensitive is hydrochlorothiazide, which is the first and foremost medication that if you have high blood pressure, Black people are put on. Hands down. You have high blood pressure, I'm putting you on hydrochlorothiazide. First rate, number one medication you're put on. So if you start adding up your risk factors, maybe you're a little bit lighter, maybe you go to a nail salon a little bit too much, maybe you're on this medication, maybe you also have taken steroids, or your immune system is impaired in some way. This is, and keep in mind, is this going to be all of us? No, it's not going to be all of us. But is it something that you're not even aware of so that you can look out for this for some of your loved ones? That is my concern. Is this something that you weren't even aware of? And I will tell you, I went to the nail salon because there are different types of these, you know, nail dryers. And supposedly ones that are LED are safer. So I went in one day and I said, what type of nail dryer is this? Is this an LED? Immediately, oh, it's an LED. So I'm thinking, oh, so this isn't as bad. It must be okay. The problem with that is I think she just told me whatever she wanted. Okay. The LED in essence is safer because you're under there for a shorter period of time, but the intensity of the rays is actually higher. So yes, it's shorter, it's less time, but it's more intense at that time. So in some ways it's safer, but if you're someone that's getting this done all the time, it's something to consider. Also, if you're using an LED machine, you should be under there for about 30 seconds. If you're using a UVA machine, it's probably 2 minutes. I know I'm under, I don't know, they have me under there more than 2 minutes for sure, right? So if it's LED, it's 30 seconds or so. If it's UVA machine, it's 2 minutes or so. So if I'm in there for more than 2 minutes, either I'm getting a really intense amount from the LED machine, or I'm underneath that machine maybe longer than I need to be. And it's something that we need to at least be aware of. Something we should be aware of.
And this affects men and women.
Okay. Farajii, what are you doing?
What? I'm just asking the question.
I've been at salons where I have seen men get gel nails. Okay. Most men probably are getting just a great manicure, usually just, you know, a thin coat, not necessarily gel, even though it does last longer. But yeah, I've seen it both ways. But I would say the majority of men are probably getting their nails buffed without any polish. But you know, times are different, right? So people do different things. So do the majority of men use gel nails? I'm going to say no. But, you know, let the crew correct me on that one.
Well, girl, There she is. I mean, the majority of men get gel nails done. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I do go to the salon. You know what I'm saying, and get my nails done, and I found it to be just as relaxing. It's a little bit of a self care moment as well. You're talking about your hands. I get that mani and pedi, doc. I get the mani and pedi.
Do you get the machine? You're not getting the machine though, right? You're not getting.
Nah,
Okay,
nah,
yeah.
nah, nah,
That's
nah.
what I'm saying. That when men go,
I think at one time I was like, oh, let me just put something on the nails because I wanted to, to really look really nice and whatnot.
Sure.
But no, not
Okay, so
doing that.
let me say this for anyone who is questioning that. I highly recommend men go to the nail salon. I highly recommend they take care of them nails and particularly those toes. This isn't just women, okay?
Yeah.
Women don't want to see those gnarly toes either.
Are we about to do a healthy relationship segment?
Women don't want to see them gnarly toes. I hope y'all are here. We do not want to see that. You do not.
No, I agree.
You don't get a pass just because you're a man. I don't believe in that.
Look,
and so I'm glad to actually hear you say that. But I have to say, it's rare that I've seen. It does last a lot longer. That is why women do it. It lasts a lot longer. It's quick. It's easy. But we need to be mindful of what we're actually getting.
Right. Damon, Pastor Damon Blissett, you said stop it. I'm serious, David. What do you want me to say? I have gone to the nail salon. Not mostly for my toes, though. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I agree with you wholeheartedly, Doc. I mean, I remember there was y'all remember years ago it was the big talk, like you had to be a certain type of man. They used, what was that terminology that they used, Doc?
Oh, Metro?
Metro.
Yeah.
And people were like, oh, you're a metrosexual kind of a man. And I was like, not really. I'm just, I think that good hygiene and certain things like that need to be emphasized because there's this ongoing narrative around boys and men that we're dirty, we're nasty, we're smelly. And it's like, that's not something I mean, if you're 9 years old, that's one thing. But if you're 39 years old, you don't want to carry that narrative into your adulthood and talk about, yeah, I'm a man, so therefore I can't clean my nails or I can't get my toes done.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Like, and the fact that we put that into culture, there should be a nail technician in every barbershop. Let me just say that. Okay. We need to change how we look at that.
Skincare. And skincare. Look, and this is going back to what we're talking about, dermatologists, because a lot of Black men, we are exposed to elements, especially if you are a brother who works in construction, you're exposed to elements to your face. If you work in certain fields where you're exposed to either outside elements or chemicals or something like that, like skincare is so important. And so when I read this piece and this research, I'm like, damn, man, like it's important for us to really have these conversations. And more importantly, I think, Doc, what are some of the things that men can do as well as women in terms of some of the products that are on the shelves right now to start taking better care of their skin? Because sisters get a glow up. Everybody talks about drinking water. Everybody talks about getting out and letting your pores open up. Mm-hmm. But what are some of the internal things that we can do in our homes and our bathrooms that can keep our skin looking fresh and glowing?
Well, I think at the end of the day, skin is skin, right? So I would always start with the whole acne thing. I think the only time men are really allowed to care about their skin is if they have acne, and sometimes they're not even allowed to have that conversation. So starting with, are your pores clogging up? Are you getting the blackheads? Are you getting the pimples? Like what's going on with that? I'm not don't blame me, but taking some products out of, your partner's collection isn't necessarily a bad idea. Share the wealth a little bit, right? Because many times you don't know what to get, right? And you have someone that typically is paying a little bit more attention to that. Also be open to the conversation, because a lot of times men are like, I don't want to hear that. I'm a man, I don't have to care. But no, you should care about that because it's your largest organ of your entire body.
Yeah.
It should be healthy. It should be well taken care of. I didn't say you needed to wear, blush and mascara. I just said that your skin should be healthy, your pores should be clean. Your skin should feel good. Okay. And that is not just something for women, that's for men as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Ed Hughes checked in. I know we got to take a quick pause. He said, keep you some shea butter on deck.
Yes. Assuming that, I always laugh at that because that is like our go-to. If it's not shea butter, it used to be cocoa butter, but I feel like people don't say cocoa butter anymore. But
no. Hey, Doc, let's go way back. Keep you some Vaseline.
And it works.
Vaseline. Y'all know about Vaseline. That joint have you shining like a new car on Sunday. I'm telling you.
Yeah. But the fact of the matter is, if you have oily skin, those are probably 3 items that you're probably trying to avoid to a certain extent, right?
Yeah.
Coming from my background, I think CBD is amazing for skin. It decreases the sebum in your skin. It helps balance the tone and color of your skin and helps with healing of it. So I'm always a huge fan of CBD products for skin. That is
what's up.
That
is what's up. We got to take a quick pause, but Doc, I do want to kind of get some resolution to that piece around, what women can do to avoid using that tool if by all costs. So I want to get your take around that. Also, let's talk a little bit about self-care and why it's so important as a hip hop artist and entrepreneur. Common talks about the importance of self-care in his new book. So we're going to discuss that a little bit more with Dr. Bridget as well. So stay with us, folks. We got a lot to cover as we continue the conversation about reclaiming your wellness here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
I love y'all. All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to the culture here on the Black Star Network. Checking in with Dr. Bridget, MD, for this week's Reclaim Your Wellness, as we're talking about how a common nail salon tool may cause DNA damage and some sort of mutations in human cells. And Dr. Bridget has been giving us some insight into this latest study of the UV lights that are used to dry nails and the impact that they have on Black folks. And for those folks who truly believe that Black folks can't be affected by any type of skin condition, trust and believe, y'all are wrong, because we are affected by these things. And a lot of this stuff, and I want to kind of get your take on this because I've heard this before, Doc, that our skin situation, that over the years, because of what we've been exposed to, like the physical elements, along with some of the mental health issues and, the mental health challenges and the diet, can all affect your skin. Is that true or false?
100%. And like, if this story doesn't move you in any way, at the bare minimum, just having that UV exposure on your hands will age your hands, will make them look more wrinkled, make them possibly get kind of spotty. And it's called photo aging, right? And I will tell you that with my Black patients over the years, and they do, like, particularly women and men, come in looking beautiful, skin incredible, looking magnificent. I don't know how old you are, but I look at your hands, I can nail it without a problem. Because when we're people that have worked with our hands, we might use lotion, but we don't necessarily use any skin protection necessarily from the sun or what have you, because we haven't really needed it, right? And so I can look at someone's hands and be like, oh, she might look 40 something, but those hands are definitely 67. Like, you can see the difference, right?
Wow.
So even if you feel like, oh, I'm not worried about skin cancer, I don't care, the UV rays definitely does age your hands. And because basically it's like putting your hand in a tanning bed. And so, of course, we talk about the leather heathers and, Caucasian skin that just is destroyed by these tanning beds. It's a little bit of that tanning bed anytime that we get our nails done. So we have to just be aware of it. Maybe that doesn't move you, but for some it will. So in keeping that in mind, and like I said, gel nails are definitely the easiest thing to do. There are powder, nails now. There are other ways of getting your nails done that can be quick and easy. I talk about the LED light, which, because it's shorter exposure, it's a little bit better, but it is a little bit more intense. So we have to keep that in mind. You have to ask, do they have the LED light? Maybe we can also say, how long do you actually have to be underneath there? I feel like they keep me underneath that light much longer than I probably need to be underneath there.
So do you have to clock yourself? Would you recommend doing that?
There's a little timer, and then it goes for, I want to say, about a minute, and then it turns off and they have you go back in. But you're kind of doing that back and forth as they put on each layer of polish. And by the time I'm done, I don't know if I need it all. Sometimes they do, and I feel like they have me in there sometimes longer than needed. I mean, I'm sure the crew probably has some experiences with that as well, but I feel like I'm under there more than, it's dry, it's cured, we're good, right? And so, so it's another thing to think about. Now, if you still want your gel manicure, keep in mind that you can definitely, some people will actually apply gloves and cut the fingers out if they're very concerned. Some people will put like an antioxidant or vitamin C cream before they go in there, or even, I feel like they should be doing that, right? And just putting that on ahead of time. Keep in mind that most of the time they don't want you using anything on your hands in between that time. But if you're very concerned, if you're on hydrochlorothiazide, if your immune suppressed, if you have incredibly fair skin, or if you have vitiligo or have albino type skin, then you definitely need to be concerned about that, because you have zero protection at all. And so those are all things that we need to take into consideration when we're, adding this level of self-care. I find it interesting because you said that it's this relaxing experience. I don't find getting my nails done. Look, I'm trying to get in and get out. Like, maybe that's just me, but I don't find it to be a relaxing.
It depends on the salon you're going to, Doc. I mean, because some salons, they have champagne waiting for you. Some salons, they got nice comfort. What, did I say something wrong?
Wait. See, that's that California living over there. I'm here in Ohio. Where should I be going?
They be like, they give you a Coke and a smile in Ohio. They're like, you want something to drink?
Look, none of that is happening in Ohio, and I'm cheap. And I suspect that if they're offering champagne, I am too cheap.
No, that's the high end. That's the high end. I'm just saying. All right, look. Here's the question I do have, though, because I know that this never fails. I've been around enough women to know that this happens. A lot of sisters come out of the salon, and automatically they look at the nails, be like, she didn't even do that thing right. It must be, and look, I paid for nails, so I understand y'all. For the men in the chat that have paid for nails for the woman in your life, your sister, your aunt, your mom, whoever the case, whoever the woman is in your life like that, you pay for her nails. You know that when she comes out the salon, within the first 5 minutes of that, of her coming out the salon, you pick her up. Hey, how did everything go? It was cool. It was great. I'm gonna have to go back in. She ain't do it right like the last time. They keep switching up on me. And why is Dr. Bridget looking like that? Because Dr. Bridget is guilty. Dr. Bridget is guilty.
Because they didn't do it right.
So here's my question, Doc. How often should, considering this potential risk factor, how often should a woman get her nails done? Some women get it, I think, every couple of weeks. Some women get it every 4 weeks. I'm not a woman. So how often would you recommend that a woman gets her nails done to reduce exposure to these UV rays? That's all I'm going to say about that.
I don't know if we have an exact number. I know that when we talked about cancer and relaxers, we were very much get less than 4 a year. It was very clear. I don't think we have that number when it comes to this and the nails. I think it's the length of time, the exposure, and your risk factor, which really has the biggest effect. And the fact of the matter is, if they didn't do it right, they didn't do it right. Speak up for yourself.
All right, so look, I'm gonna just do this very quickly because we gotta take another pause. Your face doesn't have to look like that. So that gives me pause, Dr. Bridget. That gives me pause. People are talking about alternative, all natural remedies. I'm seeing Janelle said, I've been using turmeric soap and black castor oil on my hands. It's been making a big difference.
As far as skin health, is that what you mean?
Skin health. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I think turmeric is the fact of the matter is, I think just as a society, as a culture, we're going more and more back to some of the natural things that either our grandparents are sharing or things that we've been discovering more in the holistic space. I highly recommend it. I believe in it completely. I believe putting your health and your wellness back into the patient's hands, right? Because when I'm just providing a pill, you don't necessarily even buy into what I'm trying to provide for you. But when you say, I want to feel better and I want to do things myself, you take it more seriously, right? It's like when you give your kids money, they just be spending it. Who knows?
Right.
When they start making their own money, things get a little funny about it, right? And so I highly recommend for patients to be taking care of their own health as much as possible. I'm not anti-pharmaceutical, but as far as the regimen and using the turmeric, we need to get more back into nature. And I think that's a great way to go about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Tiana says, do it before you leave the salon. Check your nails before you leave. That's what Tiana said.
I know, but I've already been in there too long. I'm ready to go. I gotta go.
I'm ready to go and complain about it, the salon, when I get in the car driving home. That's my complaint time.
No, she's right. She is totally right. However,
makes sense.
I'm ready to go. I've been in there too long.
I hear you. I hear you. Unfortunately, when you go to the barbershop and you be like, yeah, he messed up my hair, you gotta live with that. You just gotta live with it. You just gotta live with it. You gotta take that L, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't get the hair back. So you gotta wait another couple of weeks. So you gotta live with it. All right, look, we gotta take another quick pause. When we come forward, Doc is starting to talk about how we can put self-care into action. So you don't want to miss that conversation up next. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Your money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is RolandS.Martin.com. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
I love y'all. All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation as we have been checking in with our sister, Dr. Bridget, MD, for this week's Reclaim Your Wellness. And folks, continue to show your support for us online at our website at blackstarnetwork.com. All right, Doc, let's talk a little bit about, as you know, you're talking about skincare. So we got to talk about the larger wellness
Yeah.
effort of self-care, right? Because,
Yeah.
and here's the thing. I wanted to ask you this. Is it time for us to redefine what self-care means? Because grooming and hygiene is one thing, right? But I don't want people to think that that is a luxury. Like you should always be smelling good. You should always, be combing your hair, brushing your teeth. That's not self-care to me. That's just like being a human being. This is the stuff that we teach our children they should be thinking about each and every day. So this is not like outside of what we should be doing to keep ourselves in a good place.
Absolutely.
But now in self-care, it seems like there's so many definitions, right? And I get it because it's contingent upon what works for each individual, right? But I wonder, do we need to kind of give people a little bit more guidance for that?
No, I agree because I think how people define it, how people look at that can vary anywhere between, like you said, the bare minimum basics. I'm doing my self-care. Like you said, I took a shower. I did my self-care.
That's not self-care. That's not self-care.
And then it goes all the way to being incredibly extravagant, which self-care means having champagne while you're getting your nails done. Just saying. Okay. That's
Right.
more extravagant, right? So it doesn't have to be, self-care is not necessarily extravagant. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be something completely out of the norm. Self-care is what allows you to find mental peace in the process of taking care of yourself. Okay?
Can you say it again? Because I need to write that note down. Self-care
It's
allows you
finding
mental peace
in the process of taking care of yourself, right? So for me, and this is true, for me, getting my nails done is a necessity for the work that I do if I'm going out and I'm doing talks. I don't really consider getting my nails done self-care because I don't really want to be there, okay? Well, no. And I'll be honest, I don't really want to be at the hair salon. Those are necessary things that I have. That's right along with doing the doggone shower. It is just what I have to do the work that I'm doing. Okay.
Right.
Me going and not necessarily even going to get a facial, but just spending the time and using some of these products at home. Doing not even a mask, but you like spending the time, even if it's 2 seconds and I'm putting this on, I don't have to do it, but I know it's better for me and makes me feel like I'm taking care of myself. Even doing that, that's a form of self-care. It's not necessary, but it makes me feel better and makes me feel like I'm doing something good for me. Okay. Self-care can be as simple as, choosing, taking the time to choose your outfit the night before. Some people might consider that a necessity. Other people consider it taking the time to make sure that you're more organized in the morning. Self-care is what provides you mental peace in the course of taking care of yourself. And so that I consider to be self-care.
I like that. And what some people would go as far, and I think it's funny, so I'm gonna bring this terminology up to you, that retail therapy is a form of self-care.
Well, depends on where we're going from.
Hey, Doc, taking a stroll through Target with a cup of Starbucks coffee is a form of self-care. What's up? Is it? Are we kind of like deluding ourselves a little bit?
I do consider the Target pit, like the Target trap, right? Yeah, strolling and taking your time, and who knows how that stuff got in your basket. Yeah, that can be a little. Now, for other people, that by no means is considered self-care, but to be able to slow down to that extent and get caught up in the process, yeah, I do consider for me. So at the end of the day, it's not going to be the same for everyone, right? For other people, it has to be some expensive, crazy purchase, or going and getting, going to that sale where they're buying, like getting the best deals ever. That maybe because for them, it provides some sort of peace and makes them feel like they're taking care of themselves. And giving a little bit more back to themselves at the end of the day. So I think it just depends on who you are, whether you consider that to be self-care. The point is that we need to do more of that and to be
Yeah.
able to spend the time to indulge for ourselves, and indulging doesn't need to be expensive by any means.
And it doesn't need to be expensive. Janelle, you checked in and said a shower can be self-care if you
You can.
use aromatherapy shower steamers. You gotta get it however you can.
Yes.
So
I agree.
aromatherapy.
Yes. When it's another thing, we're jumping in, you're jumping out, and you're, hurrying up and rushing. It's another thing when you light the candle and
Right.
you use it. Yeah. So it doesn't have to be expensive. It just means that you're doing something special for yourself, because a lot of people look outside of themselves and they want other people doing all this. You should be doing this and this and this, and you should be buying me flour. You can get it as much as you give to yourself. If you are giving a lot to yourself and you see the results of that, and people see that calmness, that peace, that beauty that comes from the inside because you spent more time on yourself, then it's probably more likely that someone else will get in line with that and provide a little bit of that as well. So I think it depends on how we approach it. And
Yeah.
one of the things you brought up, the new book from Common, which actually just launched January 23rd.
Right.
And it is, so I love to see this because it is a self-care book written by a man. It's called In and Then We Rise, a guide to loving and taking care of self. And he breaks the book into 4 sections. It's a short book. You're not going to be stuck forever. Food, body, mind, and soul. So he breaks it into 4 different sections. And really, he considers it a gift back to his city of Chicago and to his neighborhood and community to be able to say, hey, listen, eat the foods that do your body right. Like one thing I often say is eat like you love yourself. It's that idea of how to go from self-care, where people splurge on really high fat, oh, I'm just going to indulge, I'm going to eat that self-care is actually treating your body right, as opposed to indulging in the cheesecake and excessive, fatty foods, because, it's kind of an emotional kind of treatment that you're giving yourself, which only takes you down a bad path.
Oh, and I think that's the other side to it. We got to take a quick final pause. When we come back, want to get your take on that. Folks, stay with us. It's the Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the Culture here on the Black Star Network. Checking back in with my sister, Dr. Bridget, MD, for this week's Reclaiming Your Wellness, as we talk about putting self-care into action. And Dr. Bridget, you brought up the new book coming from hip-hop artist, Grammy Award-winning artist Common, who put out this book, who is a New York Times bestselling author. And Then We Rise, a guide to loving and taking care of self. And he breaks this thing down, as you said, in 4 sections: food, body, mind, and soul. But he emphasizes something that I think in this book, and we got to have more conversations about this. But one of the things he talks about is having groups of people, or like this system around you, where he talks about the importance of having an integrative medical doctor, a chef, a personal trainer, a therapist, and a pastor. So you have 5 people who need to be in your network. And imagine this crew, 5 people, your pastor, I'm going to say this again, a doctor who may not know, not just your traditional doctor, but also that can provide you some alternative health practices as well. A chef, a personal trainer, a therapist, and a pastor. Now, for our people, Dr. Bridget, who may not have the resources to get the personal chef or to get the personal trainer, like how do we create a system of support in this self-care journey? Because I think that's important, right? Like if you are on a self-care journey, but then you are living in a household where self-care is not a priority, it's not a value, the way people eat in your household is just completely opposite of what you want to do, right? You're working at a job that is stressful and intense, right? You may not go to a church or a mosque or any type of house of worship to build that relationship. You see where I'm going with this? Like there's a lot of struggle. So how does a person create a system of support as they're going on this self-care journey?
You know, I think number one, my first response, it starts with your mindset. Okay. And I think this might have been last week, the week before, that if you're going along with the current American culture, you are going to have some serious pitfalls as far as your self-care. Okay. That you have to be countercultural to be able to really be in a more healthy mindset. Okay. And so that might even now, where do you combat these issues? It might be in your house. You know, when I stopped eating meat and really went first pescatarian, and now I'm a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But you know, I don't eat meat on a regular basis at all now. And my household was like they kind of fought against, like, why is it your business? But they fought against it. You know, there was an issue. But you have to understand, you have to do what's right for yourself. Okay. There are so many, like, we're in a day and age which is so much different from, you know, you can Google, there are apps, many of them are free. Some people have their whole life on Instagram and TikTok. You can learn, I didn't say it was all right, but you can learn so much about as far as creating communities and groups and what have you, and ways to eat, and just by being involved in some of these groups or just reading and learning things online. So you don't necessarily need to have the personal chef. You are your own. You don't necessarily the personal trainer. You can do YouTube videos that will knock it out, and that is your new best friend. And then you can build a community either virtually or in person of people that have a like mindset. It's not as difficult as one might think. You know, when I had my kids years ago, I would go and walk at the mall with the baby, you know, in the carriage or in the stroller, right? And I was walking along Silver Sneakers. Look, they didn't care. They were happy to have me. I created this community with these senior citizens that were so happy to see me, you know, every day, that were happy to see the baby. I was walking and I created a community with the senior group of people. You can just get out there and give it a try. Get out. You don't have to spend a lot of money to do it.
I love that. I absolutely love it. And it sounds like being intentional is part of that mindset. Like you have to be intentional about what works for you. And I think that's one of the big lessons, or that's one of the big things that we can learn from this conversation. Like, you know, everybody's path is different. And Common even talks about this in his book, that you don't have to follow his path to wellness. He's sharing what his path to wellness is, but he encourages you to at least get on a path for you to at least say, you know what, let me start being more intentional. Let me start thinking more consciously about the things that I want to do, and, you know, to make my body, my mind, my soul feel at ease and at peace. And I love that definition you gave earlier, that you're talking about if whatever you're doing is bring you mental peace. Like for me, retail therapy doesn't bring me mental peace, because at the end of the day, you know, you're spending money, you're like, all right, cool. Now, if you're splurging a little bit on yourself, that's one thing. but I'm talking about real mental peace. And I find my self-care being quiet. Y'all, I talk so much. I just want to be quiet. I sit in silence.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I sit in silence. I love to read. I read so much. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the things that you got to figure out about who you are and being intentional about that. So my final question to you, Doc, as we wrap up is, do you recommend that folks set aside time? You say, okay, from 9 to 9:30 on a Saturday morning, don't y'all talk to me. Nobody bothers me. My phone is off. I'm self-care time. Do you recommend us really prioritizing our self-care like that to really put into action?
Boundaries. Come on,
Doc. Come on.
Absolutely. Whatever that means. Like 9, if it's 9 o'clock, or it might be 8, or it might be at night. But if you can say, this is my time, and you are not allowed into this space, you will become healthier in so many ways, because most of us aren't great at doing boundaries. We just are always loving and bringing people in, and you got to call. Don't call me before this time. Don't call me after this time. Don't call me on the week, whatever it may be for you. If that's your issue, find the boundary and stick to it. And it can make a huge difference in your health.
Absolutely. Sharon Brooks, you checked in and said, getting your rest is one of the best gifts you can give yourself. Getting the 8 hours or more is priceless. Come on, man.
Absolutely.
Lord Jesus. If you have children, y'all understand rest is a premium. Right. I don't care if they're small or they're teenagers. If you got children, you know sleep is like, hey, man. Don't and look, if you don't have children, and I'm gonna say this, Doc, and I know we got to wrap up. If you don't have children, don't shame parents for wanting to sleep their weekend away. Please don't, because that's not fair.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think that's how people are like, well, you always want to sleep. Negro, I got 2 human beings I'm taking care of.
Yeah. No, the fact of the matter is that once you have children, particularly for women, but also for men, you never get to that deep level of sleep the way you did before. So when you are able to just turn your brain off completely and get into that deep level of sleep, I did it this weekend. I haven't done it in a very long time, but I literally slept for 2 days.
There it is. There it is. Poor girls. Poor girls. Mom checked out, y'all. That's mom checked out. Dr. Bridget, how can people find you on social media? Is there after checks day?
Absolutely. So we're setting up to start going into YouTube. We're not doing it this week, but we are kind of doing a new format. So Dr. Bridget MD, you'll find us on Instagram live at 7 p.m. Eastern. And we'll be looking forward to having our first guest with someone Farajii Muhammad, next week.
Oh, snap.
So get ready on healthy relationships. So yeah, we're very, very excited to kind of broaden, see what we're doing, creating a new platform, and really giving a place for people to have more healthier relationships, learn more about holistic health. And but I'm with you. I'm with you for the long run. So I'm not going anywhere.
That's what's up right there. Y'all make sure y'all follow her on all social media platforms. And I'm going to get my Cat Williams interview ready, because that's what I need to bring it on Healthy Relations. Need to be in my Cat Williams spirit. Let's sit down and talk about the truth.
Yes, we
Let's
will.
do that. Let's do that. We're going to break it down. Dr. Bridget, thank you so much for all of the great work you're doing. And more importantly, thank you for being so good for the culture. I truly appreciate it. Talk to you next week.
Thank you.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. Mingley, what are you talking about? You like thick, fluffy men. What is going on, Mingley Natasha Serge? What is that? All right, folks. Look, I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all stick around. And in a few minutes, Roland Martin is going to be checking in at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure y'all be y'all take a look and listen. Let me get my words out. Look and listen to him. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing. We will be here tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture. Make sure you follow us on social media at blackstarnetwork.com. And again, thank you so much for tuning into The Culture here on the Black Star Network. Talk to you soon. Peace.